Hello everyone, so I'm going to explain this tutorial twice. The first time is going to be really quickly, for those who don't like really long tutorials because they become really boring. But this is going to be about 1 minute, okay? So let's see how far I can explain in 1 minute. I'm beginning by doing the slip cut, okay? But because I'm not good doing the slip cut, I will explain that in the next long tutorial. But then I do this riffle, the top half, right over the bottom one. Then, because the pinky fingers are over here at the ends, I'm going to push one and twice. I inject the top half, this one, a little bit towards me, about 1/4, okay? And over here, to prevent the audience from seeing this huge gap, that's why I'm injecting, and also the middle finger over here pushes down, and index finger over here. So I can shift my thumbs from the long side to the short side over here, okay? So I can bend both packets, the top half, and the single card over here. So I bend them, but this is really important. I have to approach the pinky fingers toward the center. Okay, don't leave them open. Make sure you join the pinky together. You bend these two packets, and you have to start riffling at the same time. Okay. Notice when I put these two packets together, when I start riffling, the top half, which is this, has to be right under the single card. Never do it separated. It has to be right under, okay? And if you start doing a little bit of a mess on the front, it's better so you can conceal the thickness of the bottom half. Because as you're watching the performance, when I shuffle, I did this shuffle twice. The first time I didn't really conceal the bottom half. The second time it conceals better the bottom half because I start doing a little bit of a mess on the front. But in the next part of this tutorial, I will explain a lot of finger placement and tips, how to make this move even more convincing, because even though it doesn't really look too much of a movement, it is actually happening a lot of steps at the same time. But I will explain all those details right next in the long tutorial. Okay, so in this long tutorial, I'm gonna break it down in about 6 or 5 different steps, okay? And this is what I'm doing. I begin by doing the slip cut, but because I'm not good doing a slip cut with my left hand, I'm just, as you can see over here, I'm just pretty much cutting top and bottom. But in the slip cut, I'm keeping, depending on the tackiness of your finger, the index finger, the tip, you just drag and hold the top card right on top of the bottom half, okay? Top half, bottom half. I'm just gonna leave this card face up so you can follow it better, which one is the top and which one is the bottom. That's the premise of the slip cut. Just keeping the single top card from the top packet right on top of the bottom one. Second step, when I lift up the single card, I'm gonna push in angle this bottom half, the bottom packet. I'm gonna push in angle. I'm just exaggerating, not this much obviously. I'm pushing in angle this way and that way. This way so the audience don't see the thickness, and over here the audience don't see the volume as well, for different reasons. Because when you lift up the single card over here to do this shuffle, I'm showing the audience I'm riffling this packet but not this one. And if you keep this packet square, the audience probably see the thickness over here. So I'm just ensuring they don't see the thickness by beveling this way. Lift the single card and start doing the shuffle, okay? The next gesture, which is the fourth step. The third step is dribbling, and the second step is lifting the card, beveling. You bevel, that's the second step. The third step, riffle. The fourth step is pushing these two packets together. Notice when I push them in, I don't exaggerate it, don't do this. I'm just pushing, hold on, let me square over here. I'm pushing one and twice, okay? Dry moves, don't try to make it too much of a big deal. Pinky fingers are right over here on the short ends, and middle finger over here to prevent the audience from seeing the huge gap caused by this top half. The top half, also notice, is only 1/4 or 1/3. Don't inject it halfway out, that's too much, just that much, about 1/4, okay? So my thumb can reach over here. Not in the corner, but it has to be completely on the short side over here, because if you try to do the dribble from the corner, you're gonna shoot the cards in angle, and that's gonna be kind of awkward. I will explain that later, but let me keep going. Middle finger over here, index over here, so prevent the card from lifting. It doesn't really matter too much if that is, can see the top card bend, because this position is not gonna last too much. I'm shifting my thumbs from the long side to the short side over here, so I can bend both packets, okay? And the next step is one of the most important steps, because the pinky finger are right over here on the short ends. They're gonna help for my thumbs to fold the cards of both packets, okay? For some reason, it looks much better. You approach the bottom half, which is this, with a single top card on top, right under the top half. For some reason, it looks better rather than approaching the top half right on top of the bottom one. Okay, so the point is, you bring those two packets together in the center anyway. You move these two packets, the pinky finger, until the pinky finger, stop each other right here in the center. And three things happen at the same time. When you bring these two packets together, or the pinky finger together, you have to bend and start riffling before you start showing this gap. Notice I don't want the audience to see the thickness of the bottom half, so this packet is bevel. Also, when I start doing the riffle, with my thumb or the top half, I'm gonna get rid of this card. I wanna do a little bit of a mess over here right away, so it conceals the thickness. If you watch this performance, I did this shuffle twice. The first time, you can tell much better. I didn't conceal too much of the bottom half, but in the second shuffle, it looks more concealed in the way I did the shuffle. I was concealing the bottom half right away much better. So point number one, a slip card. Point number two, lifting the single card and beveling. Okay. Three, riffle and finger placement over here. The fourth is pushing one twice. That's a little gesture. And fifth, shifting the position of my thumbs. And sixth step, happening three things at the same time. Approaching these two packets together right in the center. You start bending both packets at the same time. You are bringing those two packets together with a pinky. You start bending and doing the riffle, and make sure the top half is right under the single card. So everything is concealed, because before I used to have them separated like this, but it looks much better, believe it or not, if you keep that top half concealed right under the single one, the single card. Okay, so bring those two, little bit of a mess right towards the front right away. Don't start doing the riffle after you bend those two packets. You have to start doing the riffle at the same time you're bending those two packets. Okay, and begin by doing the riffle with a little bit of a mess over here on the front, so you can conceal the bottom half. It is also really important that when you do, false cuts and shuffles, don't repeat these shuffles too often. Try to combine other false shuffles, and don't bring people's attention to the shuffle, because this is supposed to be something casual. If you say something about it, say it right after. Don't say it at the same time you're doing that shuffle. Otherwise, if they see you're not really shuffling, they will say something. Rather, that if you don't bring people's attention, they probably don't say anything, even though they may realize. But like I said, don't combine the same shuffles. But if you still have any questions, make sure you post it in the comment section down below. And I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial.